floral pendant along with matching jhumkas in a combination, and this is going to be painted in a combination of pink, black and gold. Recently a subscriber had basically posted a request saying that they would like to see something in gold and pink. But this one definitely has a bit of black as well. But what I would also do is very soon I'll come up with a video which will just have a combination of pink and gold on the pendant. So if you see, I've already got a head start on the piece, and so far I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Just a round, using a round cookie cutter got the shape. Obviously using the Jhumka molds got the two domes. Using a fettling knife to make these line marks. Using parts of a pen now in order to get this kind of a design. Now even if you are a beginner with terracotta jewelry making, this is a set which is going to be really easy for you to do. One of the things that you can also remember while making something like this is make sure that your clay, or rather your slab, is not extremely moist, and so that, because when you make these designs you don't want the shape to get disfigured, because a lot of times I think what I have noticed is I think people tend to rush through and work on a very moist slab of clay, and that always leads to the distortion in the shape. So if you see, I very simple set of I just use parts of a pen, probably my needle tool and a nozzle to literally create the entire design. In fact, now on the Jhumka I'm going to be replicating the similar design which I actually did on the pendant, using a fettling knife, drawing the lines, and then I'll follow that up with obviously part of the pen in order to do these kinds of semicircular designs. Again, a semicircular, just a wider design, that's it. Using the needle tool, just creating a very simple pattern. Like I said, this design is simple, yet it would make it look very full. You will not have any kind of empty space on the entire piece. So I'm using gauge 26 Nichrome U-pins and a pair of ghungroo beads for the Jhumka. Using my bent nose plier, just fixing the ghungroo beads. For the pendant, the U-pin size is going to be a 24 Nichrome wire, a gauge 24 Nichrome wire. So now that you see, the set is ready, and once it's completely dried, it's fired in an electric kiln. And after it's fired, it's painted. So if you see, it's already fired, and I've already laid out the colors as well. I've also laid out a couple of beads, 2 pumpkin beads and 4 plain round beads. The paints are hot pink, black and an antique gold, although this actually does look more like a gold. My gold paint, I was running low on my older gold paint, which is why I had to switch to I had to just buy another one. The brushes are just a broad brush for the base coat, and then my liner brush for the detailing. So I'm starting off with a diluted black paint all over except the ghungroo beads. I'm going to even paint the nellikai, or the pumpkin bead, in black as the base coat. I'm using the gold paint, or the antique gold paint in this case, and using my liner brush and carefully applying the paint, making sure it doesn't spread on the, basically touch the portion which is painted in black. The 4 beads are painted in gold. You can do this, you can roll these beads with a little bit of gold paint in your hands, like I've also shown that method before. But if you don't want to use your hands, you can also just use a brush. Even for this, in fact, even for dabbing, if you want to just use a brush, you can try and use maybe a stiffer brush. So one thing that you may want to remember is, while dabbing, the paint is always undiluted. But when you are applying, for example, when you're applying paint like this, when the detailing part happens, it's always diluted. Now if you see, all of this work basically is done with the help of the liner brush, and also it's not heavily diluted. It's basically diluted to the right amount, because what happens if you dilute it too much is that sometimes the paint can basically become too runny and get into those carvings, basically seep into those carvings, and you don't really want that. I mean, sometimes you might have to, if the paint is overly diluted, you might also have to do like 2 coats. And when I say doing 2 coats, please remember that you have to always let your first coat dry completely, and only then can you apply your second coat. So when I say doing 2 coats, that's what I mean. Again, the amount of coloring or detailing is completely left to your choice. You can choose to even tune it down a bit more. You don't really have to fill it up this much. So for the pumpkin bead or the Nellikai bead, what I have done here is painted them in alternate colors of gold and pink. Now that you see that the paint is completely dried, it's time to varnish. This is the product I use. Give it a good shake and transfer a little bit of the contents into a bowl or a container, and using a soft bristle brush, apply a generous quantity all over. I tend to usually do this in parts. I first apply it on the pendant, on the front part of the pendant, let it dry, and then I do the sides, let it dry, then I probably do the back, let it dry. The same way I do it for the earrings as well. Now that the varnish is also completely dried, it's time to assemble, and I'm using a pair of antique hooks for the earrings, or rather for the jhumkas. And for assembling the pendant, I'm using a nylon cord, a black nylon cord of thickness of roughly about 3 to 4 mm. So the assembling is pretty straightforward. You can see that it's a simple short set. I just knot both the ends so that the beads don't keep moving. And once that knot is done, I can actually put the wooden bead at the end. This is always the toughest part, I would think. But yeah, I think so I decided to add a couple of tassels, and I'm using a thick cotton thread for this. I just wind it around a glue tube about a couple of times, and this glue bottle has a width of about 4 inches. I put it through the nylon cord, and then I use a gold thread to keep the tassels in place. I basically wind this around it. So even if you have a pink color thread, or that would also look really nice on this. I just didn't have it with me. Knot it really well so that it's secure and that thread doesn't kind of go away anywhere. This is just again to make it even more secure, a drop of Fevicol. Don't worry about that white patch because it's going to dry transparent. But try to keep it as neat as possible. That's one thing that you can keep in mind. I just trim off the tassels, and that's pretty much it. I think the entire piece is ready now. So I really hope you enjoy watching this video, everyone. I think it's a really simple casual daily wear set. I think it's really pretty. You can even use the jhumkas just as it is. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for watching. Please do let me know what you thought of this particular video in the comment section. Thank you so much once again.